How's it going, Fishers Tigers? My name is Joe Heemstra, and today I have a little bit of a tutorial for you as to sort of the very basics of OBS, which is a streaming and recording software that you can install on your computer. Last week I talked a little bit about how I picked up the hobby of streaming over quarantine, and I figured it would be a good opportunity this week for me to show you sort of just the basics that you might need to know if you're interested in doing that yourself, because I know that, we've all got a lot of free time over quarantine, and I know that a lot of people sort of want to put themselves out there and establish their own brand, and this is sort of just a cool way to do that. So I'm just going to give you a little bit of a basic tutorial on some of the things that you see on your screen right now. I know there's a lot of different panels down here, and we're going to go through them all in due time. But the first thing that I want to point out is this big area up here. You can see it's all sort of covered in black right now, but that's sort of your view window of what your viewers are going to see. So what I've done is I've put a black rectangle over it, because if I take that away, I'll go ahead and make that invisible for a second here. It sort of turns into a hall of mirrors type situation. But the reason that's up here is because that's what you see, right? So I'm able to see what you see in the window up here. So I'll go ahead, I'll block that out because I think it's a little bit disorienting, a little bit distracting. But we'll go ahead and let's just get straight to it. So bunch of different panels down here. We'll go through them. So I think a good one to start with is sources, right? And sources are sort of the building blocks of what you're able to put up here in your view window, what you're able to sort of use to build the scene that your viewers are going to be able to see. So like, let's say for example I wanted to put in a little image of my webcam, right, just so you can see my face while I work, and there I am, right? We just go to webcam there. There were a bunch of different options, but if we go ahead we select well, I guess they're kind of hidden by that black bar. I'll go ahead, I'll make that invisible once again just so you can see here. Bunch of options we have. We've got audio input, audio output, browser, color source, display capture. That's what I'm using to capture the actual program and all that stuff. Basically just makes it so that you see whatever is displayed on my computer. So if I were to switch to like Google Chrome, you would see Google, right? And then what else did we have? The one that I clicked to do the webcam was video capture device, just because the camera is a video capture device, so it registers under there. So, and then you can see up here we get to move it around. We can manipulate it however we want, make it bigger, smaller, whatever you may want to do. And you can do that with a bunch of different things. If you have images on your computer that you want to display, you can do that with image. If you want to write something in text, like write maybe, let's just do this really quick. We'll write, hello. There we go. We'll write that in. We'll drag it down. You can shrink it, orient it however you want, and if you right click on these up here too, you get a whole list of things that you're able to do. So the most useful is usually properties. Here you can go to see sort of like some of the options. You can change color if you'd like. You can also, if you click on transform, there's a whole nother menu of things you can do. You could rotate it 90 degrees clockwise if you wanted. I don't know why a rotated hello would be that useful, but whatever floats your boat. So that's kind of what you can do with your sources. You sort of just are able to create this scene that your viewers are able to look at. So on the topic of scenes, we'll go ahead and we will move over to scenes over here next. That's the next section I'll talk about. And these sort of are just, as I've sort of alluded to, it's what your viewers are able to see. It's sort of like clusters of sources that you're able to see. So let's see, I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to create a new scene here. And I know you can't see anything right now. Don't worry. I'm going to go ahead and add my webcam in once again. There we go. So you can see. So this is a new scene, right? Because it's an arrangement of a single source, in this case just my webcam. But you're able to look at this, and it's separate from the other one. So then if you want to switch to the first scene that we created, you just click on the other scene down here. Oh, my webcam's frozen. Hold on. We'll go ahead and fix that real quick. Boop. There we go. Should be good. Yeah, there we go. Hi. So you can go ahead and just click it down here and you'll switch right back to the other scene. There we go. So that brings us into our next section, which is going to be scene transitions down here, and that's how you make those changes from scene to scene a little bit more interesting. So you see I changed it to cut there, and that just does the simple cut to the other scene, cut back. right? So it's pretty simple, pretty basic. But you can also do a few other ones. So these are the ones that I have set up. But if you press plus, you can add even more if you'd like. So you could do something like a fade where it fades in between the two. You'll see I click there, and it fades to the other scene. You could also do something like fade to color. This is one that I actually like a lot. So you'll see it switches to black and then it switches to the other scene. That's another one that I think is pretty cool. So you can kind of just play around with those, see which ones you like the best, see which ones work the best. You can also do like swipes, things like that. They're pretty cool. I like scene transitions. It's a cool way to just add some production quality without having to like edit the video or anything like that at all. So we'll go to the next one. Those are all kind of like tied together, like sources build your scenes. You can switch between the scenes with your scene transitions. Those are sort of the very basic building blocks of creating something that your viewers can look at in OBS. So then the other part of that, besides the video, is obviously the audio. So we'll go over here to the audio mixer, and I know audio is kind of a weird thing. Some people don't have any experience with audio balancing or anything like that whatsoever. I think most people don't, in fact. But it's pretty simple. Generally, if it's going all the way up here in the red, like it kind of is occasionally, usually that means it's a little bit too loud, so you can go ahead, you can manually adjust it with these sliders here. You'll probably hear I got a little bit quieter because usually I set this to +5 decibels just because it's naturally a little bit quieter than I'd like it to be. And then you can obviously have a bunch of different sources for audio. Really all you want to make sure is that your voice, if you do have your voice playing, is probably around like -10 is probably a good level for it, and you don't need to worry about being too loud on your end, as long as you're not like peaking the audio, because if you're too loud for your viewer can just turn down their volume on their phone or computer or whatever, fix the problem on their end. And then anything else that's doing audio, you probably just want to make sure it's like 5 or 10 less, like maybe -20 right there, so if you're at -10, maybe -20 for other audio, just so then you aren't having to like battle with the volume, try to speak up over it. So that's pretty much all there is to Audio Mixer. I mean, there's a lot of nuts and bolts that we could go into, but for the basics, that's about it. And then over here you just have the control panel, which lets you press a button to start streaming, a button to start and stop recording. You can enter studio mode, which is kind of cool. It's a little disorienting right now, but it lets you look at like 2 separate scenes, right, and sort of prepare them. You see my camera's stuck over there on that one, but you can see me over here on this one. Hi. So this right here is the scene that your viewers are actually seeing, and this is the one that you can kind of look at and mess with, before you actually switch to it. And then if you just click transition there, transition to the one that you were just looking at, right? So that's kind of just a cool little way to do that. Oh, my thing's frozen again. Why does it keep doing that? I don't want you to keep freezing, webcam. That's no fun. See if we can go ahead and fix that there. There we go. Okay. I don't know why it keeps freezing. It's kind of annoying, but I'm sure there's a setting for that. I haven't messed with my webcam too much, I gotta be honest. And then you do have just one little thing here for settings. We'll go ahead and open that up, and it's really just all sort of like the settings that you might expect with a software like this. You can set up like the platform that you want to stream on. Obviously I do a lot of YouTube streaming, but you can change it to Mixer, Facebook Live for you Facebook Live streamers, Twitter, Twitch, whatever it might be. You can mess with output settings, you can mess with audio, video, change the resolution, things like that. Hotkeys, there's some advanced settings. All sorts of nuts and bolts that you can kind of figure out with yourself, or for yourself, just by playing around. And really the best way to do this, sort of like once you understand what each separate part is for, is to play around with it and just figure out, what's going to be the best for you, what's going to be the best for what you are wanting to do as far as creating content, and what's going to look the coolest for you, what you like. So if you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments. I will answer to the best of my ability. I'm sure Google could also do a fine job, but if you want to talk to me, then you can do it in the comments. But that's all I have for you today, Tigers. I hope you have a lovely rest of your quarantine, and I will see you all later. Adios.